Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is Michelle for Afro Expats. I have the complete pleasure today to speak with Sheila Kay. She's located in Puerto Vallarta, which I know is a hot spot, not just physically hot, but a hot spot for expats who are interested in moving there. She's going to, again, one of my guests going to share her journey to Mexico, why Puerto Vallarta, and how's it treating her. So let's just get started. You already know my story and what the channel is about. I just want to tell you to subscribe if you haven't already, share and like. You know, a lot of these interviews are brought to the platform here on YouTube to basically inspire others to take that leap of faith. And that's why I continue to push through and talk to all these beautiful people. How did they end up where they are in Mexico? So without further ado, I'll let her speak. Her name's Sheila Kay. And Sheila, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience. Thank you so much for being here, and appreciate you really giving me this time.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I love sharing the expat journey for Black people. I want all of us to get the memo as we thankfully have. So anything I can do to contribute to that, I love doing. So as Michelle said, I'm Sheila Kay. I have been in Mexico for 2 years and 3 months. So I first got here in August 2019. I came down and I went to Playa del Carmen initially. I just came down on a vacation to hang out, get a little space. And then day 2, I was walking around and Spirit said, move here. Bet, say less. So I went back to the States for a little bit and moved down to Mexico officially November 2019. I spent 2 years in Playa del Carmen, was there through all the quarantine and whatnot, had an amazing life there, but then it was time to do something a little bit different. So Spirit always moves me, and they were like, yeah, it's time to leave. Let's go someplace else. Puerto Vallarta was where I landed. I got here in July of this year, and best decision ever. Puerto Vallarta is absolutely amazing for a lot of reasons, which I'll share. But my own personal journey, I've actually been traveling around the world as a home-free luxury world traveler since January 2012.
Beautiful.
I've been trying on countries globally for about 16 years because I knew that being in the States, it was just not my lane. And it was just a matter of figuring out where it was going to be. So I've been blessed enough to have lived all over the world. I started out in Thailand, Australia, that's where I first went. Lived in Thailand, lived in the Dominican Republic multiple years, lived in Europe. I've been literally everywhere except for Antarctica and South America, trying on hundreds of cities, dozens of countries. And I'm happy to say that Mexico is it.
Yeah.
I actually just got my residency.
Good for you. Friday, congratulations. So and oh, by the way, it was her birthday yesterday, and look how gorgeous. She's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So just sharing that, we'll have this forever etched here. But why Mexico? Like, what just was in your spirit? Because obviously you've been to many places. I actually love Thailand. And I think if it were closer, that would have been maybe one of my choices. But like, what about Mexico really just drew you in?
You know, it's an internal feeling. So if people always ask, like, well, how do you know it's the right place? And I always say to people, you'll know it's the right place when you get there. Your spirit, there's an energy, there's a whatever it is will speak to you. Just as when a place isn't the right place for you, you'll know as well. But just on a tangible level, I had certain criteria for where I choose to live. Number one, I have to live on the ocean. So any place I go, you know, waterfront, oceanfront. So that's number one. I also have to live, I'm a luxury person. So I have to have a luxury existence, a very high-end existence. So it has to have that element too, a pretty wide variety of that. And I need to be around kind, welcoming people. And so of all the places that I've been, I find Mexican people to be kind, warm, welcoming. And I also wanted to be someplace where there were people that had pigment in their skin. In some way, shape, or form. I did not want to be in an all-white place. So I was going to move to France at one period of time years ago. And I'm good on that. So, being around Mexican people, they're brown, they're cool, whatever. So that was important to me as well. So when I got here, it was just like, oh, check, water, check, And specifically in Playa del Carmen, when I got there, Playa del Carmen is a mecca for African-American people. It's really exploded now, but 2 years ago, there was an amazing community of maybe like 35 of us, and we call ourselves the OGs. And we all made money online, and I got into the Facebook group about a year before, so I already had friends, that were there. And so for the first time moving someplace, I didn't move someplace alone where I didn't know anyone.
Right.
In Playa del Carmen, I moved and I had this community of amazing brothers and sisters that embraced me. And so it felt like I was literally coming home.
Right, right. So how did you feel when because I think too that we're kind of not really used to that kind of community online in the US where you feel more connected, but when you get to a new place, as you said, it's nice to already kind of know someone that pulls you or brings you into the fold. So I feel like there's a difference when it's kind of that I see folks there, they're living their life. We communicated online. It's like, yes, you already feel like I already know you. And it helps you in that settling in phase. So why did you decide Puerto Vallarta over Playa? Because both are, I think, are not they're not the same at all. But I think that the ocean, obviously, you have the oceanfront. But like, what were the difference for you? What was the draw?
Excellent question. So, okay, so for me personally, I'm very much led by spirit, right? And so the countries that I've been to, those places have actually, they summoned me. So Puerto Vallarta, I didn't know anything about it. I was somehow found myself in the Puerto Vallarta, the expat group, the white expat group, and for a couple of years before. And I never really knew where it was, never really thought about it. But when it was time to leave Playa, spirit was just like Puerto Vallarta, like that was literally it. So I'm very obedient. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I went there starting over again. I didn't know a single person in Vallarta, didn't know anyone here. I got into the Black PV group though, back in, I think February or March. And so I was kind of watching what they were doing. I was like, okay, people are cool. But even in the non-melanated expat group, I noticed one thing that really made me know that it was the right place for me. In the white expat group, those people were kind and they were helpful to each other. Whereas in, let's say, Playa del Carmen, in that Caucasian expat group,
they were catty. They were catty and snarky.
Oh my God.
We get that here too.
Levels.
I know we've gotten that here too. Like, you know, because I think what you did is what a lot of people do. You know, we get in, you get excited because you want information. And, you know, part of the reason why I think a lot of people like myself are popping up with offering consultations to melanated people or whomever, like I'm open for anyone, but the focus has been melanated. And that being because we want people to see it from our lens. Yes. That's really key. And yes, you're received. And yes, there are Black people here. Yeah, we might be a small population. But in saying all of that, like when you first join some of these non-melanated groups, it's like you get in, you're excited, you want to know stuff, but it's hard to find information without asking. Or yeah, you can do a search, but it could be like 2 years old or 3 years old. And things change very quickly in Mexico in regard to businesses and who runs and who does what. So in saying that, yes, I found that people can be really mean and for no reason. I'm like, what was wrong with that question? Yeah. So
who hurt you?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
You're here, you're retired. It's a beautiful place. So I wanted to just kind of put this out there that if you're watching this and if you're interested in any of like these places, like please go online and do a search for Black Facebook groups, you know, because they're out there now. Because 2 years ago, there weren't a lot of us. There wasn't a Black PV, because I know that Tamara, I think, started that, and that's fairly new. There wasn't a Playa, there wasn't a Merida, and now it's grown. There was Mexico City, and then there was Carolina's kind of a general Mexpat, you know, community. And I remember when I found it, I was like, yes, you know, and I got in there and I was promoting it all the time. So, and wanted just to say, like, they're out there. And I find that just what you said, most of the time people are really willing to be helpful, you know, and not snarky, because it can be scary.
When I see a Black person posting in white groups, I'll DM them. I'll be like, psst, psst. Hey, by the way, we over here. So
exactly.
Come on, and we will help you, welcome you, what have you. So
absolutely.
over here, come on. But yeah, to your
Absolutely.
point though, for any place you want to move to, just type in Black expats and then whatever country or whatever city, because
Right.
we're there.
Yeah.
And
Even a small
you
group.
out there thinking about doing this now, you're so lucky. I started this journey way back in 2007 is when I first started thinking about moving abroad. And you talk about no information. I mean, this was before blogs.
Yeah.
This is before
Zero.
anything. And when
Zero.
I jumped out of the nest in 2009, there were no Black people
Right.
anywhere
Right.
talking this stuff.
Online.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I've always been the
Nothing.
only one, always been the pioneer.
Mhm.
So you all, if you have fears or whatever, just please know that you are so supported. You are
Exactly.
so supported.
Mhm. Yeah. And even in our age bracket,
Yes.
like understanding, like I feel like we're at that in between. I don't know if you feel that way. I feel that
Yeah,
way
I
because
do.
I'm like saying this, I'm relating to what you're saying, where my first time going to Europe, it was in 1997. And it was
Mhm.
like, yeah, this was the only brown face. And if I saw another one, they didn't speak English. So I wasn't like, that was the barrier, was not being able to communicate. And I remember fast forwarding now to maybe 2016 or 17, when I started finding the groups online,
Yeah.
I was so proud of us as, like the Black folks. Like, I'm like, oh, they are out here traveling. Oh my God. Like, I remember just like that feeling of inspiration to see it, because I'm like, okay, I've been doing this as well, but no place to share or find the
Yeah.
groups, And it's not that you need that, because, going to get on a plane and go anyway, right? We're going to do our thing. But it's nice to see others and also feel like there's a connectivity there. And now with the movement of people moving out of the US,
Yes.
it's awesome to have the support. Like, that's what motivates me. I mean, all sorts of people contact me, and they, even if they're not melanated, they see this and they're inspired by it. And that's all I care about. I'm like,
Well,
we're
I
spread
care
out.
about melanated people getting the memo, period.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean,
Period.
I
You know, I
definitely,
just,
that's my demographic, but also, like I'm happy that people also support that we're doing this too. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And
that's real.
they're like, this is cool. Like I've literally had non-melanated people say, you're part of my tribe. Like I relate to you, that are like Latinos or whatever. They're like, I relate to this. And I'm like, okay, that's fine too, whatever. I'm
But just
happy for that.
FYI.
Exactly. So
And people
no, it's
always
been great.
ask, like, Sheila, why do you talk to only Black people about this? And it's because as we're making these decisions to go someplace, there are levels of questions that
True.
we have to have answered
Right,
before we
exactly.
even think about going someplace.
Yeah.
And so to your point about the other groups, I'll see folks asking things about racism or whatever in the regular groups. And I'm like, don't do that. This is not the place. So
Right.
there's so many, even as a Black woman, okay,
Yeah.
my hair, where am I getting my wigs, my
Girl,
weave? Can I
girl.
get some skincare? Just minutia things that no one
Right.
has to think about. And people just don't understand unless you
Exactly.
got, this melanin.
Right. No, and I totally, girl, I hear you. Cause it's like one of those things where my mentality is very do it yourself, do your own hair, do your own this, you'll figure it out. But it is a struggle. It is a question that people want to ask. And I didn't really think about all these things. Like, I think I've said this in a couple of my other interviews where I had a friend who asked me, how did I feel about raising my son here and him not having a lot of other brown faces around him. And it was weird to me because it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, I had not thought of that, because I was so worried about violence and him being a brown boy in the US. I was like, I'm not raising
alive, period.
Yes. And I was more focused on that. But then when I got here, I said, well, yeah, like how will he integrate? How will he fit in? Will he start questioning, his skin color? Luckily, that's not knock on this wood right here. That has not been an issue at all. Like, he's accepted, and yeah, there are other brown children around him. But in general, I hadn't thought about those things. I had not thought about I did think about the hair thing. I did think about
the hair thing we can't get past.
No, I did think about that.
Somewhere.
Yes, it doesn't matter.
Shea butter.
Oh, okay, girl, because we're dry. As a matter of fact, when I was headed to PV last year, I think I did post in the Black PV group. I was like, is there anyone here that braids? And, I found this girl, I can't remember her name. I want to say it was Cecile or Cecilia. She had been in PV for a lot of years because she had kids there and she's married to a local person. Yeah. And she came, as soon as I got there, she came to the house and gave me 2 cornrows. I was like, this works on the beach because, it's humid over there. And the hair is like, trying to withdraw. I'm like, what happened to that nice stretch that I had this morning when I woke up? Right. So it was like priority. Is there anyone that can braid in PV? Because there's no one who can braid in San Miguel. Like our 10 Black people that we had, there's growing now, but it was like no one knew how to do hair.
I just all the time. I'm like, if you are a hairstylist and you want to get out of the United States, you will make so much money.
Yes, just move around.
Oh my God.
Move around.
All hairstylists, listen to this. Please, sisters, yes. Brothers, please just go. You ain't got to worry about making you booked and busy, period.
Exactly. I said that. And that's part of the reason why I created Black Owned Mexico, resources and information. And it's funny that you said shea butter. And I know I've said this on other videos, but I'm saying it again, y'all. I literally saw someone post, I got my shea butter today. They were in Mexico somewhere. And here's the link. And on a different page, a different Black expat page, someone asked, where can I get it? And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, seriously, we need one space where we could just share information, share. Right. And that's why I created that page. And I was just like, you know what? Where are the stylists? Where are the product sellers? Where are the people who can do hair? Because we need these things. Where can I get whatever, where can I buy curry? Jamaican curry, not Indian curry, Jamaican curry. Like, where can I find these things
down here?
Where can we get, this is an ongoing joke, where can we get some grits up in here,
Oh my gosh, nowhere.
I never cared about that stuff, and now I don't have access to it. I'm like, so it's always an ongoing question mark. But anyway, we're here and we appreciate it. But I do think that there is a growing need for products and services. And, I really encourage people that offer those things to, find out how you can, make it happen. Like if you're a hairdresser, find someone who brings in hair products for non-melanated people and ask them, can you add, it can't be any different. It really, in my simple mind, I'm like, if you went to a distributor or an exporter, importer, and just said, you know what, there's a demand in Playa. Here are these 50 people, right? Or in Mexico, here are these 200 women who will spend the money to buy these products. Can you please bring them in and put them on a shelf, or let me buy them from you?
Exactly.
Make it happen, people. Okay. Anyway, my dear. So tell me about just kind of like how you ended up choosing Mexico. I know you follow your spirit, and Puerto Vallarta over Playa, they were kind, but what was it that spoke to you?
So some of the more tangible things as I've gotten, because when I started this journey years ago, I was like 37 years old. So I was fancy free, I moved to Thailand, all over, so it really didn't matter. I just turned 54 yesterday.
Amazing.
And so
you look gorgeous.
Thank you. My mother is older. And so I'm like, if something happens to my mom and I'm in Thailand, that's 36 hours for me trying to get home.
Yeah.
So practical things started coming into play in my decision-making process as I got older. So I also needed proximity to the United States. I don't ever want to live any more than 6 hours away from the States. And Mexico is great because Playa del Carmen, I'm 2.5. Over here, I haven't gone back to the States yet, but a couple hours either way. So that was really important. Excellent healthcare is extremely important. And Mexico is very much known as a medical tourism place. The medical care here is incredible and it's incredibly cheap. I just paid out of pocket for everything. And so those practical reasons too contributed to a why Mexico. And then an even more practical reason, I've been searching for what I call my plan B country, my
Mhm.
place where I could get either residency or
Mhm.
full citizenship. Because after 9/11, I saw what was happening in the States. I
Mhm.
peeped game years ago. And I
Mhm.
knew that I needed to be ready. If I needed to bounce, I needed to be bouncing with a passport or residency or something. So with
Mhm.
every country that I went to, it was with the expectation or the goal of, can I get residency here? What does that really look like? Well,
Right.
fortunately, Mexico, as the time of this taping, it's changing,
Mhm.
but makes it extremely easy to get residency. So right when you come here, they would give you 180 days. You get 6 months. It's
Mhm.
changing now, though. I'll put a caveat on that, but you get six
Yeah.
months to be here.
Mhm.
No other country really does that. You usually get 30 days, 60 days, you know, these visa runs, which that
Right.
is a pain in the ass to do that. So the fact that I had that
Absolutely.
6 month visa, which was
Mhm.
cool, and then
Mhm.
people would game the system, so you could leave and then come back, get another 6 months. Again, I'm
Right.
stopping, but so
Mhm.
I could be here for a year, whatever, and not
Mhm.
need to worry about, I got to do a visa run, and I could be here
Right.
legally, so to speak.
Mhm.
So that was important. And then as I decided
Mhm.
I really want to get residency, Mexico, as long as you meet certain criteria, it's very easy to get. It's not
Right.
challenging at all. Again, if you meet the criteria and whatnot. So those
Mhm.
were more compelling factors
Right.
in being here. And also too, I don't like I can understand Spanish. I don't really speak it that much, but
Mhm.
in choosing Playa and also Vallarta, I
Mhm.
needed to be in places that were touristy so
Yeah.
that there's a lot of English spoken. And I hate to be
Right.
that person because that's not a cool thing to do. But now that I'm actually here in Vallarta, I am learning, I'm becoming fluent in Spanish because they
Right.
really speak it over here. And you want to connect with local people and have community. So that's really
Right.
important to me. But when
Right.
I moved to Playa, I didn't have the bandwidth to really worry about that. And I knew that
Mhm.
I wouldn't. So
Right.
those are
Exactly.
real tangible reasons as to why.
Right. And all of those things make a lot of sense. And to the point of not speaking Spanish, I think it's still important for people to find that softer landing space because, if you're not that adventurous or you have a lot on your plate and you feel like, you know what, I need to focus on these 10 things, which is not the language, and you want to integrate. Yes, this makes it, I feel like Mexico has quite a few places where it's a much softer landing place. And I've said this as well many a times. It's, people say, why did you choose San Miguel? And that was one of the reasons. It was easy to integrate here. I knew that my husband needed to integrate, my kid needed to integrate, and I knew that it wouldn't be like me going to some little pueblo in the mountains where
Right.
no one, as
Whole
much
different
as that
experience.
sounds really like cool, oh, I'm doing a whole new chapter, because I can totally get down with that. But I knew that they wouldn't be able to get down with that. And I knew then the stress would fall on me. So when people ask me, do I need to learn Spanish? I think I always throw the question back at that person, like, what's your personality type? Like, if you just are that wing it person and you really want to fully immerse, because some people really want to fully immerse,
Oh yeah. Yep.
but yeah, when it comes to the vacation kind of mode where I'm going to travel to a place for 6 months or 3 months and I just want to fully immerse myself, that's different than I'm moving my entire life over here and
Yes.
all my, family and my kid and my husband and my dog. And you don't want to have that stress if you're
Oof.
not that personality type.
Mm-mm.
Take it from me, trust.
Yep.
So
Same.
I don't think there's anything wrong with starting out with not knowing how to speak perfectly. I think is what you said, is having the attitude that you want to learn it, and trying, as you kind of go along. I feel like as long as you're trying to do your best to integrate, and it's important to you not to just keep just having your two hola and gracias or whatever, it's
Exactly.
like, that's fine, the effort exists and that's pretty much it. But yeah, so you travel around. What
Mhm.
we didn't even touch on this, and it sounds like you've been all over, but where did
Mhm.
you like originally move from or live in the US, if you don't mind me asking?
So I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, grew up, raised there, and knew I did not belong there. I just knew in my spirit, like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. So I always had a goal to live in California. So the first time I got to California, I moved to Beverly Hills
Mhm.
and lived there for 15 years, had built
Mhm.
an amazing life, like full on, because I used to watch
Nice.
the show 90210 when I was growing up.
Oh.
And I was like, I have to have a 90210 zip code. That was like my heat-seeking missile goal. And so I moved there, 90210, that's where I lived and had that lifestyle. And it was amazing. It was great. It was like whatever. But yeah, so that's where I pretty much grew up the formative years professionally and all that stuff too.
Right.
And the first place I moved to out of the country, so spirit-led thing, back in October of 2008, I was in my bed sleeping and spirit woke me up and they're like, you need to sell everything and go to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay.
I want that spirit talking to me.
Right?
I want to go to Australia too. Go ahead.
And I was a girl. I had like 300 Gucci bags, like full on, like crazy. And I sold all that stuff. And I was very tied to materialism and looking good and all those things. And I gave it up and sold everything, the cars, and went to Australia with the idea that I learned how to make money. I started learning how to make money online before that, because I knew that in order for me to live abroad, I had to figure that out to remove my income from having a job.
Right.
And that came about in 2007 when I had a big corporate position. I was at Warner Brothers Studio as kind of a consultant, whatever, making like $150,000 a year. Thought that was the holy grail. I was in my 30s. But I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I was like, there's got to be something more to this. So my spirit was just searching for something. Well, in April 2007, a man named Tim Ferriss wrote a book called The 4-Hour Workweek.
Oh, I heard of that. And I'm going to add it to my notes, but go ahead.
Get that book.
I say I heard of it. I've read it. That's what I meant.
Oh, it's amazing. I'm going to tell you why I want everybody to get this book. So I left my office, went to Barcelona, got the book, and I read it in like 48 hours. And it changed my life, because what Tim talked about was this concept called geographical arbitrage. And he was an entrepreneur. He had a business, and he was able to, through outsourcing, move to Argentina, have this amazing life in Argentina. And it's like, as long as you're making American dollars and your money is portable, you can live like a king or a queen. And I was like, that's it.
Right.
That's what I've prayed my whole life. I just didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know. And so I made a definitive goal. I want to learn how to make money online. I want the goal of living like a queen in these foreign countries. So that's what drove me, and that's what I do. And so through a lot of trial and error, a lot of investment of money, whatever, figured it out. And by 2009, I felt like I knew enough. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Australia, work this out. Yeah. Well,
Australia is kind of expensive.
I didn't know that. Because I go on intuition. Well, Spirit said. So I get over there, and it's March. And so I'm just thinking, it's March in the States. We're going into the spring and summer. No. It's the southern hemisphere.
Yes.
I never heard of that before.
Trial and error, girl. But it's okay, because not only did the Spirit lead you, but you went for it.
I did.
I want people to
left out of the airplane. I was like, I'm freaking figuring it out.
Exactly. I love that. That gives me goosebumps.
Funny story though. Don't do what I did. Do research.
Yeah.
So I get over there. And the funny thing about selling all your possessions from a minimalist, like you pay all this money for, like I had over $300,000 worth of goods in my house. I ended up with like $18,000 cash. I mean, a
fraction, like a tiny fraction. People
oh my God.
Like, just sell it. And like, don't buy it in the first place if you haven't already, because you're not, you don't, trust me, I have been there. Go ahead. Listen, girl.
So I get over there, and it's now when it's time to buy a whole winter wardrobe. Oh my God. And I didn't know that Australia was ungodly expensive. I just knew that the dollar was stronger. So I was like, oh, okay, the dollar's strong. Great. I didn't know that an order of fries and a Coke was $11.
Exactly. Exactly. You're like, this isn't even a real meal. It's not even like one of those meal deals.
But the thing I also didn't know was that internet in Australia. So, here in the States, or in the States up there, it's like unlimited internet. It's everywhere, but for free, whatever. Internet in Australia is like gold. Oh, they're like, so how many gigs do you want to buy?
You're like, what? What does that mean?
I'm making videos. I don't understand. So I ended up spending like hundreds of dollars buying internet, and it's slow. So I couldn't do my internet. So anyway, long story short, after 5 months, I went broke.
Oh no.
Broke.
Oh,
so I go from this Beverly Hills chick to broke in Australia. My rich boyfriend flew me back to the States, and I had to start over again. Well, this was in the 2008 during the downturn.
And everything down. Yeah, that's right.
Couldn't get a job. I was a recruiter by trade. Nobody was hiring, so I couldn't get a job. And so, long story short, I went to a 15-month 22 month, excuse me, financial free fall. I went back to LA, found myself in the welfare line. It was complete insanity. But the one thing I did is I stayed positive, and I kept trying to figure out this internet marketing thing. I kept studying, kept trying things, and I would put up different things, and it would kind of work, whatever. And then in January 2011, I remember this so specifically, I was like, okay, God, this has been 22 months. Whatever lessons you need me to learn, you need to go ahead and just go on and tell me.
Right.
this ain't the business.
Right.
So apparently it was like, okay. And through a series of little adventures or whatever, I found myself financially flush again in January 2011. I was able to land another 6-figure contract, which then led to me doing some other things.
Beautiful.
And I was able to kind of work remotely. And so by November of that year, I was like, okay, I'm going to start traveling again. And that's when I started traveling. And then I made the plan of January 2012 that I was going to give up everything again and then go back out and just stay, because I learned some things online. And so that's when this real journey started, was January 2012. When I became home free and went to Thailand and all these other places. And then 8 years later, whatever, landed in Mexico.
Wow. That's a hard journey, but it's a beautiful story. Like really, the fact that you had the tenacity to just keep pushing through it, because 22 months is a long time when you're struggling and, you know, things, it just feels like you can go into a state of depression. But, you know, I think overall, the gist of it is, let's do our research, you know, and make a plan. And we're all out here. You're out here telling your story. I tell mine. And you know, we offer those pieces of advice to people. And I do think we're in a day and age, especially after what happened with COVID 2020, where there are a lot of opportunities online and there are ways to earn income. And people also need to understand that the cost of living in Mexico, and do your research, some countries, it is a lot less. So you can survive on less. Maybe, you know, you don't want to, necessarily just not have anything, because I've heard people say, oh, I left and I went to Mexico with $100. I'm just like,
no, don't do that. I see people do that too, and I'm like, ooh, child, don't.
Where are they sleeping? You know, there's one girl I follow, and she is super adventure, and I applaud her. She's not in Mexico, but she's just like, oh yeah, I went here and I just slept on it. I'm just like, I cannot.
But she's like 23. Like, I think I know who you're talking about. She's a young lady, right?
Yeah, she has a kid. So I don't get.
Okay, I don't know who you're talking about then.
Okay. I don't know.
Another discussion.
Yeah. And I don't know her personally, but I follow like her. She's like, well, yeah, you know, especially pre-COVID when they had a lot more like travel deals, you know, it's like you could go on these apps last minute and buy like those last minute tickets and, you know, go to some countries for like, for under $100. And when I get there, you know, I make friends, and I'm just like, that's really adventurous. And I totally applaud. I've never stayed in a hostel, so I'm not a hostel.
I'm like the hostel queen, the luxury hostel queen.
Okay, that I could do the luxury, like the Selena. Have you heard of Selena?
Yes, yeah.
I think it's also international.
Yes,
I just recently saw like a couple videos, actually from the Yarbroughs. I saw a video, and I was just like, oh, these are nice. Like, this looks really nice. But the hostels from back in like the early and mid 90s.
We're not talking about the little shacky.
The backpacking hostels. I'm like, that looks like a dorm, bunk beds, and some crap crawling through my hair. I don't know about that.
When I went to Australia, so I wanted to figure out like, how can everybody last? And so what about hostels? Well, at that point in time, this concept called bling packers came into play. So it was those of us that were like in our 30s, we had careers, we had Apple computers. And so the hostels became like boutique hostels to serve this bling packer crowd. That's kind of what I was at that time. And so, man, you spend like $20, $30 a night and have these dope hostels with like bars and pools.
Nice.
And so that level of hosteling, I've done that all over the world. It's so much fun.
Really? That sounds cool.
Female traveler. It was the best way to meet people.
Yeah.
And I was like 40 at the time. And I mean, all these little 20-year-olds, they never knew how old I was. I've been hanging out.
Because you didn't look 40. I'm sure you look 22, 20 as well.
Thankfully, you know, girl, melanin, black don't crack.
I know. People are always like, oh, you only look like you're blah, blah. I'm like, thank you.
Thank you.
But we have experience.
Exactly. Thank you.
No, it's amazing. I think that's actually a cool concept, because I get a lot of folks who ask me about, Black owned things in Mexico, and they want to support, which I think is very admirable. I find a lot more folks asking that question, when they're coming to town, like, are there any Black owned places? And I refer them to the casitas and people that are owning these places that I know about. But I actually like that idea, like, a small boutique hotel that kind of caters to this scene in a classy way, where you can have that social setting and environment. I think that that's something to explore. So
there's
anyone
an
out there,
opportunity for someone to really do that, to your point. If someone wanted to open up a boutique hostel, boutique hotel, and really cater to us and market it for us, huge opportunity.
I know. Here we are dreaming up more things, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, like, if you don't mind sharing, like, what did you end up doing online that got you more balanced in terms of being able to move around? I know you mentioned the luxury travel, and are you still doing that? So, because I'm learning you as we talk. So just the audience knows, sometimes I get to speak to my guests beforehand a little bit, but this is all very, this is all very organic, and I like it like that. And that's why I never have like a list of questions, because I just, this is the journey. Like, this is how you ended up here.
Exactly. So I'm a little bit different. So I'm very much a grown woman. Like I said, I'm Beverly Hills 90210 through and through. And I never believe that because I travel, I should do something different. Now, people come down here like, I want a place that's $300 a month. Like, why the hell would you, like, I don't understand that. I don't get that. So for me, I had to find income that was high, right? Because to support my lifestyle. So, but to your point earlier, you said it's cheaper to live in Mexico. Well, just like I said in the 4-hour work week, the thing that Tim Ferriss talks about through geo arbitrage is, the point I didn't mention is, you live in these countries where the cost of living is lower. And so you can live an extremely amazing life for a fraction of what it costs. So countries like Argentina, countries like Thailand, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Colombia, there's a whole lot of them out there, versus deciding to go to, I'm going to move to Paris or London or, Singapore, these really expensive countries, to where like your money is going to go further. So that's a real hack. If I made, I made $150,000 in LA, I needed every ounce of that to support that lifestyle. Whereas if I moved to Mexico, I can have the same, which I do, for a fraction.
Exactly.
So as an example, when I moved to the Dominican Republic, when I was in LA, I always wanted to live in Malibu. I wanted to live on the ocean in Malibu. That was like my biggest goal. Well, to do that, it would have cost me to rent a nice condo at least $15,000 a month, right?
Wow.
So I had that same dream, and I was like, okay, bet. How do I figure this out? I moved to the Dominican Republic to a beach town called Cabarete on the North Coast. And my business partner and I got this amazing 3-bedroom, 3-bath out of our architectural digest, this amazing luxury oceanfront private beach, like you would not believe, 2 housekeepers every week, the whole 9. And it was $1,500 a month.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I had my $20,000 dream from LA in the DR.
Exactly. Like you said,
that's what people, I want them to understand. I know you do too. People are always like, well, how do you afford? You have to realize that whatever it costs you to live in wherever in the United States, and if you live well or however you live, it's a fraction. You don't need to have, if you make $100,000 now, you don't need to figure out how to make 100,000.
Exactly.
Absolutely not. If you can figure out how to make 2,500, even 2,000 a month, you can live
really well.
Exactly.
And also figuring out your capacity. Do you know what I'm saying? And the capacity being, for example, I downsized a crap load when we moved here, but I'm also realizing as I live here, like I need even less because I'm not doing those same things. I'm not living like I lived in Miami. You know how that goes. It's like beautiful all the time, the hair, the nails, everything. And as I'm here, I feel like I'm going back to just, not to be ugly or messy or kind of crappy looking, but you know what I'm saying? I'm more into my health.
I don't and hair and all that listen, y'all, when I was in LA, I had a 10-member glam squad. Okay, brows, nails, biologist,
exactly,
$10,000 a year, hair weave,
Oh my God. I'm
all
laughing
like
because I
all,
totally
and I tried
understand.
to do that.
Hmm.
Girl, I wish, oh girl, I ain't got nails, girl.
Yes. I
You
mean,
don't need it.
no, it's a lower maintenance lifestyle. And I think that people kind of appreciate how you are as you are. You know, they're
You're not
really
judged on
fascinated.
anything except for
Right.
who you are as a person. You
Exactly. And
strip
it's
away all
more
that other
chill.
stuff. No one cares. No one
Exactly.
cares if you wear
Exactly.
Fenty or I got Gucci. Nobody
No,
cares.
no,
No one
no,
cares.
not for the most part. And I'm not going to simplify the Mexicans because I have seen the bling here. You go to
Oh, it's
Mexico
there. Oh,
City,
trust. Mexican,
but
I'm around Mexican millionaires all the time. Like they got it. But
okay, right. It's just a
don't feel like you
different,
need to bring that
right.
down here or wherever you are. And in fact, I would suggest you actually
Exactly.
don't,
Hmm.
because I believe in moving in stealth and kind of being incognito with the stuff.
Exactly.
You don't want to be
Right.
looking for some type of way until you learn the
Exactly.
lay of the land and you're in spaces in which all your peeps are in that space. That's just my
Exactly.
opinion.
No,
That's
I 100% agree with that. You know, like we are, I'm sure, around people all the time here in San Miguel, but it is very low key. Like we meet folks and they're like multi everything, and you would not even know it because they're
wouldn't know it.
just chilling until you go to their house and you're like, oh, okay, you know, if they, you know, bring you into this circle. But in the end,
And
the
those
point,
houses are behind these huge gates.
okay, you
You
will
would never
not
walk, you
even
would
know.
never
You
know.
would never know it.
And
You
then
would
you
never
walk in and
know.
you're just like,
Breathless, like what?
I
Okay.
never knew.
Exactly, exactly. But what I find really interesting too is it's sort of like you drop this layer. You know, when I got here, I really felt like I was dropping a lot of the layers of how my mind would, you know, my mindset was. And I was kind of even going back to growing up in Connecticut because it was definitely simpler there. Then I moved to Texas and lived in Dallas, which is a little frou-frou. And then I went to Miami and it was like all out, you know, and
Miami's
there's
off the
nothing wrong with
chart.
that. People are beautiful. I think that they have some of the most gorgeous people in the world, men and women and the like. And, you know, it does keep you kind of on your toes or whatever. But I remember coming here feeling like there was deeper meaning to the interactions. And that meant more to me. You know, I started little by little realize, okay, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. I just need to be myself. And, you know, I want people to understand like the lifestyle changes and it doesn't mean it's bad. It actually becomes more quality. And it means it's more below the surface of being materialistic and tapping into certain things. Not that everyone's doing this in the US. I'm just sharing like from the perspective of you can have more and you pay less. You know, it doesn't undermine like being in Mexico. It's just kind of like, you know, you have the ability to get a lot more quality
Yeah.
in your movements, you know. Like even like I'm looking at your art, which I already commented on, but I wanted to say even in buying art in Mexico, and I don't know that you got that here, but I'm just kind of saying that I remember going to the galleries, like looking at things thinking, wow, this is absolutely amazing. And I could probably afford to buy something here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I remember being in New York and just looking at like the Keith Harings, like, ooh, okay, little tiny, you know, $5,000 and $10,000, $50,000, and I'm like, okay, that's a down payment on a house. That's a nice car. You know what I'm trying to say? So I feel
I
like
do.
people should understand you get a lot more. And to me, that is quality of life, and that is adding touches of luxury to your existence for, like you said, a fraction of the cost. You know.
It's quality of life and it's peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And just to kind of build on some things that you said, I find that when I'm here, I am 100% authentically Sheila Kay.
Yeah, I
I am
love
just
that.
me.
I
I
love
don't care
that.
about it. Whereas when I was in LA, it was like I had the Gucci and all that stuff. And I wanted to be defined by that stuff, which is ridiculous to say now. I'm like, who was that? Whatever. But that brings on a lot of burden. And so I find that in leaving the United States, I've released the burden of all that stuff. And Miami is actually my US base. And so I used to go to Miami a lot when I was in Playa. And every time I go, it's like, oh, this is so foreign.
Yeah,
Like, wow, I
it's
mean, it's
crazy.
cute, but oh, wow, I'm glad I don't have to play in this field
Right.
anymore.
Exactly.
And this art behind me. So So talk about wealthy Mexicans. So I rent a place. I just moved into in Puerto Vallarta. I moved into a 2-bedroom, 2-bath because I wanted to manifest when I moved. So I said, I want to move into a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, oceanfront at the time, luxury penthouse with a rooftop, and I wanted my own pool, my own private pool. So I thought that had to be at the ocean here in Vallarta. That's the only where I wanted to live. But I got to the ocean and I realized that it would have cost me like $5,000. And I'm like, I'm not paying that much, Mexico. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I released the desire to be at the water. And I said, okay, God, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, luxury penthouse, my own pool, non-negotiable.
Right.
Well, this place popped up and I wish I could show you on my camera to mess up, but
yeah,
it's owned by, multimillionaire Mexicans. They're entrepreneurs here. And if you could see this place, it's filled with gallery,
I'm sure,
level art and all these
sure,
things.
it's amazing.
It's incredible. So you can live as high as you want to, but it's a fraction. I mean, I pay what I paid in Beverly Hills for this place, obviously, but you don't have to pay that much to be somewhere, but you can surround yourself with nice things.
Exactly.
Here.
Exactly.
And, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just different. It's just very freeing.
Right.
I don't have the shackles of having to be something or someone so that other people will look at me a certain way.
Exactly.
I have nice things because
that's what you want.
I am, and I like
and
it,
that's okay.
And it's totally okay.
That is okay. I feel like as women in general and as Black women, it's okay for you to spoil yourself and pamper yourself. And, we all have some level of something. I hope most of us have some level of things that we just want. And as we get older, I'm like, just do it. Don't do it just because it's my birthday, so I'm going to treat myself this one day. No, like if that's what you want to do, like you said, move around, travel, you want to live in a nice place, these are the things on your checklist. I say go for them, and if you don't have a plan, create a plan. How does this journey look for me? You know what I'm saying? Whatever that is. So I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Trust. I'm all about it.
One thing I want to talk about really quickly too for Black women specifically, when we're in the States, those of us that are corporate and all that stuff, all the insanity they would deal with, whatever.
Yes.
The mental, the everything. I have found in coming here and other places too, all my sisters down here, we all do a ton of self-care.
Yes.
And by that, I mean, we get 90-minute massages every week because you can do that for like $40.
Yes, I had one yesterday.
You can come to your house.
Facial and 90-minute, girl, Facials, 2 hours.
Spas. You can have people come to clean your house. I have a woman that comes every 2 weeks to clean my house. This big place. I pay her 400 pesos. So what's that?
About $20.
$18.
Yeah.
And she cleans.
Yeah. Yep.
In the States, in Dallas, $250 to clean the house, right? Yeah. So different things like that. That's why I'm so passionate about Black women specifically coming. Just please leave and come, because there are so many intrinsic things that you don't even think about that you just get to lay down at the border.
Oh,
and you
I know.
Get to heal through all the self-care. And if you're a woman that, if you smoke weed as an example, almost I just quit, but all my girlfriends do here because it's literally self-care. You just smoke and you just relax, and even the eating thing. Right when I got here to apply a couple of years ago, I was 50 pounds overweight. And every time I go back to the States, I gained 50 pounds and I couldn't get it off. It was because I was eating Chick-fil-A and all this stuff. Within my first 2.5 months moving to Playa, I released 40 pounds.
Wow.
Why? All I was doing was walking and eating tacos.
Right.
But I also realized that in the States, my body would hold on to weight to like protect me.
Yeah.
And when I got to Mexico, my body's like, oh, you're safe. Let's release this.
Right.
And a lot of my sisters, they release weight. Their skin is amazing. They just have this transformation.
Yes.
And you can just breathe because we decided to move abroad. That's Mexico or Colombia or whatever. So I want to talk about that because that's something that you have no idea that that's even possible.
Right.
Until you've been here and you're like, okay, wait a minute. Oh,
right.
So that's why and I'm sure you do too, I evangelize and women with children. Oh my God. Please bring your babies. Bring your babies.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. First of all, you're creating a global citizen. Yeah. Trust me, this is so beneficial for their future in so many ways, especially as a melanated child. That's you can't go wrong.
Yep.
things are more affordable for them to be a part of. Like my son, when I was in the US, I was only able to barely pay daycare. It was ridiculous how much it cost me. It was almost as much as my rent.
Girl.
And, I remember like reaching out, like, okay, you're talking about welfare, but like getting help to have it subsidized. And they were like, oh, it's a 2-year wait. I'm like, by the time I get the help, he's already going to be 5 years old going into kindergarten. Like I need it right now, not yesterday, so it's just a lot of struggles. And I also think when, and if you're even in a system like that, they make it where it's hard to get out of it,
Yes.
Since we're talking about, because this is like a subject that
Let's
really
go there.
it gives me a lot of emotions, because I remember like even recently, I don't know if anyone watched that thing on Netflix called Made. And even though it wasn't a Black person in this position, but honestly, there are a lot of us that have been in this position. And I remember watching it and just feeling like, I remember being in this place, not so deep, but enough where, like yourself, I had this amazing existence, where pre my child, where life was easy, I had good money, things were coming along, whatever. And then suddenly here I am, a child, single mom, really just trying to push through what do I want to do. And I did not want, I'm sorry, but I did not want to work for someone. I wanted to start my own thing, because I knew that if I started going back down the rabbit hole, which was working in a 9 to 5, that I wasn't going to be present for my child. But the struggle was real, because I remember, getting help to have him and, thinking like, okay, I'll pay for my own insurance. That's a whole joke. That was a joke. And I remember this woman on the phone, she says to me, why don't you just apply for all the aid that you can get? And I was just like, I didn't know I could do that. She's like, yeah, just do it. And all they can say is no. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And it was like every 6 months you had to check in and you had to show that you're struggling, but in the struggle, they weren't helping you get out of the struggle. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I know
I'm like,
exactly
I
what
was
you're trying
right
to
on the
say.
border
Yeah.
of, okay, I got an education, I got a lot of work background history, but it's like, I have to show that I'm like really making zero zilch. Like, it's almost like just throw in the towel, do nothing, and stay down here. And I was like, all I need is a little bit of help so I can
Just
get
a
out of
little.
this. And it's like, no, you got to really be down here, which I understand like the formula, but it just, and I remember saying to myself, like, I wish, and I probably could have if I dug deeper, that I could have done like a co-housing scenario. I remember thinking like, if I could find like a way to create a home for people like myself, where we could help each other in some capacity, help each other, watch each other's children in a safe environment, right? Because we always worry about these things, as opposed to having, a single mom over here with 1 or 2 kids, a single mom, I had this girl that came from New York, and at the time I was looking for a roommate, and she had a daughter, and I was like, okay, her daughter's around my age. Maybe this is a good route to rent out my extra room that my son's not sleeping in. Maybe this is a good idea, right? And I remember she came down and she's like, I got this job at the VA and they're paying me, get this was in 2014-ish. They're paying me $32,000 a year. Now we know that's not ish, okay? And she was like, oh, and I remember she had her daughter, she had to pay medical, and it was a struggle, like no one's business. So I was kind of feeling like, you know what? Okay, let's help each other out, right? When you're at work, I'll watch the kids when I'm not working on my business, whatever. I'll drop them at daycare, whatever. It was like the sharing concept existed. But in saying that, her trying to get insurance and more, it was like now the paycheck is really down to not a lot, And my point is that it just always felt like a struggle living in Florida for some reason. And moving forward to, this concept of having a space where maybe we could just create a home where each person has like a co-housing, a co-living, a co-sharing, a coexistence, where you really have support and you can actually come out of the hole.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Get that breathing room
Yeah,
to get stabilized and then to
right.
build. And you're doing it
Exactly.
together with this community. I have
Yeah.
talked about that concept so many times with my girlfriend in Dallas. I don't have children, but
Mhm.
I empathize with women that are mothers. I'm very maternal. I didn't want to have kids.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I had them, I want to have this place where women, 4-bedroom, why don't we get a 4-bedroom place?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Rents $1,500 a month. We
Yep.
split that by 4. We've got the communal
Exactly.
kitchen, right?
Mhm.
Raising their kids, whatever, so that you know you've got that. Like, I
Yeah.
don't understand why that's not a thing.
Me neither. And it's like the whole, it takes a village.
It
It
does.
does. It really
It
does. And,
does.
there's so many, I think, people, I mean, mostly women, but there are a lot of men too that are going through this kind of thing. And then you get so bogged down with trying to survive, you don't have time to be spiritually creative and connected to your natural abilities and what you're good at and whatever, and some people just don't have that kind of fight. I do. I fought through it. I was like, I am not working for anyone. I'm going to do my own business, and I'm going to every single day I'm putting my black war paint on in my imagination, and I'm going to make this happen. But my point of saying that is the struggle is real, and I feel like, the living wasn't really supportive. The system definitely is supposed to help, but it doesn't. It's
It's not,
really,
no,
it
that's the
really,
gag. No, it's
yeah,
not designed for that.
it's not at all. It's supposed to, but it's not. That's the concept, is it's supposed to help you out, but it really is designed to keep you in the rut, and saying that, moving here, getting back to what we were talking about, is kind of releasing, like you said, this struggle mentality, struggle
Yes.
life,
Yes.
struggle. Everything has to be a struggle, and understanding like it is more affordable for me to get help. And that's okay. Because I remember when I first got here, I had a hard time letting someone else do stuff for me. I was like, I'm going to do this. I mean, I got a housekeeper, but I was like, okay, you only do this when
You were
she
cleaning the house before she got there.
right. Or I wanted to, like, even up until just a few months ago, and I remember my counterparts that live here, the locals, Mexican women, and people telling me like, why, like, there's nothing wrong with this, but just kind of like, why are you doing these things? And I'm like, oh, because I just always did them. And well, why don't you let, and I'm just like, I don't know. And I feel bad to ask her now, but it's that, mindset. And I find that really interesting. But I want people to understand, like, it's okay to come here and give yourself a break. It's okay for women to come here, bring your kids, and let them grow in another environment, let them thrive outside of that struggle mentality. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is key.
I have met so many beautiful Black women that are single moms that have moved to Playa, that have moved here. And when I tell you their children thrive, I'm like, Black women, please save your babies.
Yeah.
Save your babies.
Yes.
One thing about this Mexican culture too, that people don't really understand, is this culture is about getting help. So if you're a mother with even middle class, you have a live-in person.
Yeah.
You have somebody you haven't raising your kids. That's a normal thing. It's expected of you. So for you to not have that, they're looking at you like, girl, what's wrong with you? Get with the program. It's okay.
Right.
But we as Black women, heaven forbid, you ask, oh my God, I think I need help with anything. What you mean you can't work a 9 to 5 and clean your house and raise your kids? What do you mean?
Cook and shop.
Vilified by the women in our families that look just like us.
It's true.
Leave that. Just please escape from that. Because I have a girlfriend who moved down here with her son. She's in Playa. She's got a place on the beach. Her Instagram, her baby is in the water every day. Her beautiful little Black son, he's just turned 8, in the water every day. He's in school with his friends. He does karate. He does this. He's in the cenotes.
Yes.
Your Black children are allowed to actually play.
Exactly.
And I don't have kids. When I tell you, I'm Auntie Shishi. I've never wanted children ever. But I get so passionate. I don't want to cry about this because I want Black children to play.
Yeah, I hear you. And I'm getting emotional about it because I just think about like, I'm so grateful that my son is here.
Mhm.
And like I said, I didn't move with the premise of all of these things because you don't realize what you're carrying. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. Listen, I
You
do.
don't even understand like
Um,
all of the weight that we carry, and we're strong. Like I'm a strong Black
Very
woman,
strong. Very
I will fight to the end, and
strong.
I don't want to. I don't
Nope.
want to. You know what I'm trying
Tired.
to
I'm
say?
tired.
Yeah,
I'm putting
I'm
down the armor. I'm freaking
exactly,
tired.
exactly.
We
And it's
can.
okay to
We can
release
do
that.
all these things. We can
Mhm.
move. We can do, but it's like we have nothing else to damn prove.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we just be? Can we just
Mhm.
be in our feminine? Can we just be
Right,
in the space to create? Can we
exactly.
just love and be loved and it just be free?
Yeah. And let
You
your
know,
children be free. I
let your
think,
children be free.
right. I feel like we have this thing because, my parents, they grew up in Jamaica
Mhm.
and they didn't have a lot, and it's like this hierarchy of I need to show this facade. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
Like
do.
I gotta meet this visual standard of whatever. Like my son here, he has no idea right now about brands and whatever. If he were in the
Yeah.
US, he would be a little more tuned. I mean, he wants his games. Kids want to play them, their PlayStation and their Nintendos and stuff like that. But he's not really like, oh, I need these sneakers and I need this and I
Mm-mm.
need that. And I like it. And then he's not worried about his hair. He's not worried about how he looks per se. It's not that I want him looking crazy, but it's like I just try to not put too much burden on him. I'm always
I was
just
going to say
kind
your
of like,
baby is unburdened. I was just getting ready to say that.
yeah,
You have an unburdened child
exactly. I'm like, you
who
just
is
worry
now
about learning.
bilingual and gets to learn languages and all these different things
Totally
too.
fluent.
Yeah.
And even just being able to afford, going back to affordability and having like I started to say this in the beginning was when we were in Florida, there were things that he was interested. He was much younger, but he was 4. But the cost to go to daycare, the cost to get $25 an hour. If I want to go out and do something, a sitter, it's ridiculous. Even just the trust factor. I just it was just complicated. It was
Too
complicated.
much. It's too much.
And yeah, and then I remember one summer, I wanted him to do robotics because he was interested. He was interested in robotics. And I said, okay, let's look at it. They had like a 4-hour a day. I don't even know if it was every day, but it was a 1-week program for
Mhm.
like 250 US dollars for 1 week.
Mhm.
And I remember saying something to a white friend of mine, and they were like, "Oh, that's only $1,000 for the summer. Just plan for it." And that's only, And I remember thinking, like, I
Wow.
I don't have $1,000 for that.
Extra,
That's
extra.
yeah. It just for a couple hours Monday through. I just don't have that. And I
Wow.
was like, and no, I don't think it's I should even be in this place. So it was like one of those things where really had to pick and choose
Yeah.
what he could be involved in. And, I would try to I always found free things for us to do, whether it was a concert, like you said, go to the beach. They used to do like free events at the Norton Museum, and I would go there, and those were
Yeah.
always fun, whatever. Fast forward to now, being in Mexico,
Mhm.
he has a teacher for Spanish, for English,
Mhm.
robotics twice a week. That's super affordable. He has Taekwondo,
Yeah.
and it's just affordable, and it's still the same level of learning,
Yeah.
so people
Yeah,
have to
nothing, it's
understand
not
that.
like it's bad. It's all
Right.
amazing quality and all those things.
Exactly. And
Yep.
it's here. I mean, it's actually existent in the sense of,
Yeah.
just it's available. Like I sent him to, for example, Taekwondo. My mom offered to pay for him for the year because she's always trying to do something sweet. And she
Mhm.
said, oh, I want to do Taekwondo for Micah. So it started October through June of next year. And I don't remember the total cost, but it's like 700 pesos a month, which is like $35
35,
for 8 hours a
$40 for
month.
let's exchange rate. Yeah.
8 hours a month. Like he goes Monday, Wednesdays for an hour every single week. And this will go on until June, and it's super affordable. And he's actually getting, it's in a school. It's a Taekwondo school, and it's for all levels, all ages, even adults. So it just makes it where you can actually do things that you enjoy, recreational, or you want to learn something extra. It exists here. And I want people to understand, like, this isn't a country where it's so broken down and you cannot have a good life. You can have a good life and on for less, a lot less. We don't abuse that, but it's affordable. You can like you said, lay your burdens down at the border.
Lay them down. And also too, I think people have a misperception of Mexico specifically, and it comes from what they see on TV, right? You've got the US press, that's a whole nother conversation, but you've got these shows like Narco and all these things. And I hate these shows because they put this presentation out to the world about Mexico as being this cartel. And because everybody always asks, oh my God, the cartels
and kidnapping.
And it's like, do y'all not understand? Y'all. It's just like,
no, it's true.
Unless you're coming down here and you're like, okay, I want to be the next Scarface, so I'm gonna take over the cocaine trade. If you that person, then you're gonna have issues with the cartel.
You're gonna have a problem, right?
But if you're like, yeah, I'm gonna move here, be with my family, my kids, be a regular person, whatever you do in the States that lets you be safe, the same decisions, you can make those same decisions here any place else that you are.
Exactly.
So I just kind of want to dispel that, because people always have this idea that you leave the house, you're going to get killed. And it's like, no, I'm going to leave the house and go to Costco.
Exactly. Or Walmart, if that's your thing. Yeah. And an Uber, the app works here too. And InDriver and Didi and Rappi and you name it. Trust me. I mean, yeah.
About fancy makeup, people are surprised at how it's just like the States. It's literally like the States. It's
in some places it's even nicer, what I find really beautiful, and it fills my soul when I walk around San Miguel, is it's very old, but there's so many nuances and so many things that have been modernized in the art. And the fact that they kind of allow, probably more from a permit standard in terms of buildings and stuff, where things that would not fly in the US, but you can appreciate it because it's done in a very artistic way. And you just, it's just beautiful. I see so much beauty around, and I just think, man, you know what? They're quite creative. And I say they because we're all integrated, like this town was developed because a lot of us foreigners from the US and also from Canada migrated to San Miguel. And I think within that migration, people have brought so much of their own interpretation of art. And I feel too that because the economy has been poured into it, it is gentrified. So I'm not going to act like everything's perfect. No, it's not. But it also has poured into, the locals being able to kind of, express this artistic thing as well. And not just everything's always, just kind of like what our interpretation, there's not like a versus, like this one versus the other. It really has a really nice blend. And then you can go, like I said, I went to Zacatecas, and I speak about the city quite a bit because I had no idea it even existed. It's north, I think it's north of here. And, I went there a couple months ago. It's about, I think, 4 hours or so away. And I was completely blown away. I don't know if I saw one foreigner that entire weekend. And that city was like walking around in a city in Europe. I was really impressed. I was like, wow, this is crazy, that this is amazing and beautiful and gorgeous and the whole nine. So at the end, I was just pretty much like, wow, this is, for me, this experience was beautiful. And it made me realize just how big this country is and how diverse it is and how much, you can have at your fingertips in terms of choices, and people need to understand, like, you don't have to be in just this one area or the beach or whatever. And it's affordable. Like, even being over there, I was just like, wow, this is way less expensive.
Way
San
less
Miguel.
I'm sure. Oh,
yeah. I was like, maybe I need to move here. I can get all the luxury.
You can do that. That's the thing.
That's
and
true.
we're talking about this at the beginning of the call. It's like, if you decide like Playa del Carmen is where I want to be, whatever, and so you get there and you decide, you can literally just go someplace else.
Right.
There's
Exactly.
so much available to you. There's the coast, there are the mountains, there's the desert
City.
area, there's greenery, there's lake,
Hmm.
whatever your desire is,
Yeah,
you can find it here. I don't
exactly.
care whatever it is. It's not like the moon or something, but you can find anything that you think will light you up. You can
Right.
find it here.
No, I think people really, in saying that too, and to what we were talking about, is do your homework, do your
Yes.
research. Like a lot of these interviews that I do, I try to highlight people that are in different parts of Mexico. So there's that understanding like, oh, there's this cool beach over here. I've never heard of that place. I think one of the more two unusual places for me was a gentleman I interviewed a few months ago from Tuxtla. I'd never heard of that either. I was like, yeah, and I looked it up and there's this like crazy massive city. And someone was like telling me, oh, it's kind of dangerous. So I was like, well, he didn't act like it was dangerous. He actually seemingly really loved it there. And he was also talking about, how economic it was and the medical, why he even ended up there in the first place. He went there for some medical treatments that they don't offer in the US. And I was just like, this is so cool. I don't even know how we found each other, but we found each other. And then of course, interviewing a couple ladies down in Veracruz, and I learned a little more.
Veracruz is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, I want to go there too. So
Me too.
y'all got to get with the program if you're watching. So tell me a little bit before we go about you were telling me what you were doing. We started to talk about
The
that.
online thing, yes.
Yeah.
We went all over the places.
If you don't mind sharing. No, thank you.
No. So, oh my goodness, so much. So I started out, what did I start out doing? I started doing affiliate marketing, which is basically set up websites, you refer items, and people buy it, I get paid money. That's how I first got started. I created an affiliate, kind of a dating site. And so I got money from that, graduated from that. Currently, my main business model is I have online courses. I love creating courses. I love, so my theme of what I teach people how to do, I teach people how to fund their lives abroad, basically.
Nice.
Because everyone always asks, well, how do you make money to fund this? Well, I always had to find ways to make money to fund this.
Right.
And so I do a lot of different things, but I teach folks those kind of things. And one of my gifts is that I could take very complex strategies and turn them into an easy step-by-step, one-by-one kind of a thing. And my students, my clients, my coaching clients, whatever, like, oh my God, and they learn it and they do it. So one of my first course I taught people, it was called Portable Incomes. And it taught people how to monetize the knowledge in our heads. We all have information that is very valuable. And so I tell people how to make online courses, monetizing what's in your heads. My second course I have out is called Remote Job, Find a Dope Remote Job. Because I started this journey because I had a remote consulting contract. And so I was able to make that 100K and then go all of these places until my online income exceeded that. And I could never have a job. I haven't had a job or a client since 2015, retired, would never work for somebody else, Lord knows. So I think about how to find remote jobs. This is before remote working became a thing. Right. And this was when it was really hard and you had to have all the skills. I'm like, no, this is what you do. Boom, here's the tape. Another thing that I do is I have thousands of books up on Amazon, and they're called no content books or low content books, meaning line journals, activity books, coloring books. And that's what I'm really teaching a lot right now is that you can have an idea for a book and I teach you how to validate that. And Amazon through KDP allows us to put these books up for sale for free. So when someone buys your book, you get a royalty. So it's an amazing way to create true passive income because that's really the goal. And passive income, it's a lot of work on the front end, but once you do it, you now have these digital assets that are out there forever that you make money on. So so I love doing that. Teach folks how to really do that. I also am really big into e-commerce. So I have online stores. One of them I'm about to relaunch again. I created the first African-American themed wrapping paper through my site, blackwrap.co.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I love, is it like every holiday, just what? Oh, wow. That's amazing. And by the way, well, that's great. because yeah, we'll talk more and we'll put all of this. So I want you to share like what your courses are, like
I'll give you all the links.
Yeah, all the links to everything, because I'm all about promoting anything people are doing. Like seriously, first of all, for just even spending the time talking to me. And I learned so much. Like I'm like, okay, I might have to hire her for because I got questions for you and I don't expect you to do it for free. But what I was gonna say about the paper, like, I don't know if you've noticed this, at least in San Miguel, we cannot find good wrapping paper cards. Not, I can't even buy a birthday card here. Like,
oh, wow.
Cards here, but yeah, I like that.
So I can teach people how to make different things online through a process called print on demand. Okay. So like I have a wrapping paper line, all like t-shirts, mugs, like hundreds of different items. I'm launching actually 3 candle lines. Hopefully this week I'll get that done. And so I love e-commerce. I'm a print on demand expert. I speak on it, teach on it, what have you. So I love e-commerce in that respect. And the cool thing about it is, and with COVID especially, people couldn't go to stores. So those of us that are in e-commerce last year, so much money and there's so much opportunity. Yes. And in that space, we saw 10 years of growth in 1 year.
Exactly.
So if you do not know how to sell items online, you are missing the freaking flipping boat.
Yes. And I don't. I mean, I have a few items, but they're on my website and I've sold, but they're not like on these bigger platforms. So yeah, I'm going to book you for a session. Yeah, we need to talk, girl. No, that's awesome. And I like that you have had this experience because you had to create the remote experience before it became a thing.
I didn't have a home, I didn't have a garage. Everything I did had to be, my income had to be portable. Right. And in fact, I trademarked that term, portable incomes. Because people would ask me, like I'd be on like a first class flight or whatever. And so there was some white dude and it's like, well, what are you doing here? Because melanin, right?
Of course, right.
And so I'm like, I'm going on my 5th vacation this year. And it's like, how can you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Because my incomes are portable.
Exactly, right?
Shut it down, right?
Exactly.
But in reality, to do this successfully, I believe, because people are always like in the expat groups, well, how do I get a job when I move to whatever? You don't move to a place to get a job. You've got to have, we can probably do even a second conversation about this.
Yes.
You've got to have your income, whatever that is, worked out before you go wherever that is. Remote job, business, consulting, teaching English. There's a million things you can do. One of the things I tell people right now is you need to, or I suggest, not you need to, I suggest get skills that are, you can get it for free, 99 for totally free, but these are highly marketable, monetizable skills that not a lot of people have. For example, digital marketing, which is helping companies to advertise online. Right. So that's where everything is. But there are so few people that actually know digital marketing. So people are like hiring, like you can get paid $60,000, no experience, your first job when you learn how to do a few digital marketing things. Nice. So I'm helping my clients really do that. So digital marketing is one. How to do paid Facebook ads, all these skills that you can go to online and learn for free.
Right. On how to do that.
Get paid a ton of money.
Yeah.
So imagine if you had a remote job making freaking $65,000 a year
in Mexico,
could work from anywhere, and you were living down here.
Yeah, you would be golden, so golden, so even golden.
45 a year.
Yeah, you would be so golden, really and truly.
You're in LA at 65K a year. You're like, I need to be on welfare.
Yeah, no, true. And I think that people need to really like start. Hopefully this message reaches a lot of folks. So you guys keep watching to the end because we're always dropping gems, and I've met a lot of very dynamic people like yourself that are doing things that make sense. But in saying all of that, I just kind of am like, we have to get over this concept that what you make in the US is what it's going to cost you here. It does not, you know what I'm saying? And that's why the living and quality is higher. But I wanted to make a point about what you're saying, because I'm in this position right now where as an entrepreneur and having all this new online digital stuff, I don't know about a lot of it. I mean, I'm sort of learning it as I go. But the point of saying that is that, I don't even have time really, meaning to sit down. So yes, hiring someone to do this for me is great. Because I mean, we all can come up with concepts, we can brand, you can make a logo, you can put it out there. But then I get to that point and I'm just like, how do I
Now
market
what?
this? Yeah, and exactly, you know, and you can get coached to death, but does that coach know how to tell you how to market this? Like, who is that person? Who's the SEO person? Who's the digital person? Who's the one that's like, you know, yeah, kind of holding it down in this regard. So no, that's a great point. Like, yes, we definitely should speak again on that specific. And if you have like a program, like on Fridays, I do live about people who have a business in Mexico. Like that's a great space and it's more promotional. So it is really to just talk. It's not really for you to give things away. It's more just to talk about like, hey, this is what I do. Here's why it makes sense. And here's an option or whatever. So maybe that's a good space too to
Let's do
share.
it this Friday because I just started teaching my low content book stuff again. I stopped teaching it for a while, but I realized that it's Q4 coming up. And so I opened it up last month because if you get books up now, you can, I'm not guaranteeing, obviously I can't guarantee it, but the opportunity to really be successful off the gate because we're in December.
That's right.
Huge right now. And so I just took a cohort through it, but I'm teaching a live class this Saturday. That's kind of like a pro level as well. So the timing is just really great. With this, I'd love to get together on Friday.
Yeah, I have someone scheduled, but let me see, because I'm kind of waiting for her to, but if not, for sure, if not this Friday, for sure next week Friday. But I would totally love to do that because I feel like it's key. It would key for me, and I want to hear about like what your coaching programs are in this regard, in this space, because I'm at a space right now. Okay, I'm like kind of getting off the interview talking about myself, but I have a question about that because I'm in a space right now where I have a few online services and I have an ebook. And I'm just kind of thinking like, I want to create more because I had a few people give me feedback. Like, for example, there was a couple that visited this week from Miami and, they found me on Black SMA, but they were like, oh, I don't want to bother you. And I'm like, it's such a small town. I always tell people, reach out. Like, I'm not going to guarantee that I will get to see you in person, but maybe we will, or I may just see you around town because it's that small. So saying that, we met them on Tuesday. We saw them on Tuesday because I was promoting like this art gallery thing, blah, blah, blah. They showed up. We all ended up going out, and he was telling me how much he was having such a great time, except he wasn't happy with the restaurants that he landed at. And so I said, oh my God, why didn't you reach out? And then I said, why didn't you buy my ebook? It's like $27, 30 pages worth of a lot of information about SMA. And he said to me, he goes, I didn't get it because it seemed like it was more for newcomers. So I said, well, what would have made you buy it? Like, because I don't get this feedback. Like what? And he said, well, if it was like kind of set up where it was a 4 or 5 day, like here's what you can do in 4 days, or here's what you can do in 5 days or something. And I thought that was great feedback because people have purchased it because maybe it was okay for them. But I feel like it's an amazing source for people who are coming to SMA. It's called San Miguel de Allende City Guide. And it's just like travel. It's just like, it's for anyone, it has like a lot of details in it and a history of, and 1 day trips away, and it goes on and on. I digressed a little bit, but the point of saying that is I know that there's something there, and I'm like, there are more things there, and maybe it needs to be on a different platform, but I just haven't figured out how to do that. So I'm interested.
Well, let me ask you. So when he thought it was for a newcomer, as in a newcomer that moved to San Miguel de Allende versus someone that was visiting like on a vacation,
right?
That is his disconnect.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. What platform do you have it on right now?
Just on my website. That's it.
So when someone buys it, then what's the process?
They just go there, they click, it downloads. It's a PDF, and it downloads to, let's say, your phone, and you have then like almost all, I would say 80% of my recommendations hyperlink to the place. So you don't even have to go looking for it. It's like all up to date. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, places to shop, the beach recommendations, the vineyards, you name it. It's all there. And it's just on my website, because that was the place that I was easy for me to execute, setting it up without sitting on it for 3 months.
You've done the right thing. Like, you've done everything correct. I think as I'm listening to his feedback and what it actually is, I think it's a titling issue.
Yeah,
So
I think the
I would
title.
do San Miguel Allende for visitors. I would maybe break it up in a couple of guides. So do a shorter one for the 3 to 4 day visitor.
Yeah.
For the 5 to 7 day.
Mm-hmm.
And then for I would have three guides, mm-hmm. 3 to 4 day, a 5 to 7 day, mm-hmm. and then a 10 day and longer. Yeah. That way now you've got 3 assets.
Right.
That's you can sell versus just one. Trying to make one everything, one problem, one ebook, one solution.
Right. Exactly.
And do different itineraries for that 3 to 5, the 7 to 10, and then that 2 week longer.
Exactly. And that's what I need to focus
on. For the I have just moved to San Miguel Allende. Mm-hmm. What do I do? That's a whole different constituency.
Right. Exactly.
So now you've got 4 digital assets, and to market that, just coach you on the call here, what I would do is you can do JV partnerships. So all these restaurants that you're promoting, they can promote your book. Right. I would go to the SMA Chamber of Commerce and say, hey, I've got these guides. Can I buy advertising on your website? Right. I would also use a site called BuzzFeed, and I would look for people that have highly trafficked blogs that wrote about San Miguel de Allende, and I would approach those blogs and say, hey, can I pay you $40 to put this in your newsletter? Or can I put a display ad on your website? Because if they're getting a ton of traffic, then people are going to see your book, and that's money. And you
exactly. And it's worth the $40 that you, or whatever you spent. Yeah, exactly.
So you've done the hard part. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
You've got 4 assets.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I so appreciate that, because I think sometimes when you're a one-woman show, an entrepreneur, and you're just like, I'm all day sitting there like, and once I finish a project, it's like I can create the crap out of stuff, right? But then it's like, oh, what do I do now? Like, because I don't know about these things. So I'm happy that we got to this part of the conversation to be able to, tap into the services that you offer. Because I'm all about, like, if this fits into my, budget to hire someone to help me with that and get me going, this one-time thing, like get me off the ground, I'm all about it. Even earlier this year with my coach, that I have resisted because my mentality is like, I can do it myself. And I realized, like, I can't. I don't know a lot about the digital side. So in saying that, I finally kind of understood, like, I got to invest in me learning about this. I got to invest in someone else's skill sets that already knows how to do these things. And so I've been more open to these things. And I wanted to just say to you that my friend Anne-Marie, I'm not sure if you've met her or seen her around.
We have not met in person, but we're sisters online.
Good. So, yeah. I don't know if you already joined her Black Women Who Coach directory, but you got to get on that, girl, because you know what you're talking about. If you want.
Yeah, I know my stuff. Listen, I know
my stuff. But I feel like people could benefit.
Like everybody who knows me knows. No, I need to talk to Sheila.
Yeah, no, I feel like they could. There are lots of us who are doing what I'm doing or similar or something online that could benefit from that little bit you just said. Yeah. So that's also a space to promote as well.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's great.
One last thing for you in your space. Something came to mind. It just popped in really quickly. I forget, but doing the joint ventures, like borrow other people's audiences.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
And are you using Pinterest?
I have a presence, but no, I'm not using it. I have to be honest. I'm not using it.
So you want to pick one social media platform, because everything, I gotta be everywhere. No. Pick one and master that one. My suggestion for you is Pinterest, because Pinterest is actually a search engine. And things you put up on Pinterest stay forever. That's true. So if I was going to master anything, because things you put on Instagram is gone. Things on Facebook is gone. Right. So unless you're doing like YouTube ads, which is too advanced, Pinterest is your lane. Do visuals, do a whole San Miguel de Allende board, and then pin other people's stuff about San Miguel de Allende to give them some shine. And oh, by the way, there's your stuff.
Okay. Right.
Keywording right, and people will find you, and then get into the video aspect of it. Use those tools that just start offering video. Right. So any videos, they're giving like immediate juice.
Right. Okay.
So that's what I would coach you on, is master Pinterest for you. So do 4 guides, do joint ventures, and then use Pinterest as a marketing tool.
Okay.
You're
And
good.
that's going to build. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much,
Because those
Sheila
links are out there
Kay.
for everyone. Pinterest lets us put links that go to our website.
That's true. That's true.
And you can do paid ads on Pinterest for very little money because they're trying to build that up. Facebook
Right.
ads, when it first came out like 6 years ago, I can get penny clicks.
Right.
But they
Not
wanted
anymore.
us to do that to get the attention. Now it's like $15 to get a client.
Right.
So it's like, no.
And
so
it doesn't
Pinterest
even
ads
work.
are the same as what Facebook used to be.
Right.
And then if you get on a TikTok is it.
People are telling my friend, she's been telling me that. And I was just like, oh my God, yet another. So
Yet another thing.
Another thing, because I'm on Facebook, I have Instagram, I have YouTube, and it's just a lot. It's a lot to manage and maintain. And literally I've said to myself, man, maybe I need to just shut something down and just focus on whatever. But it's like I
hire
get
it out.
That's what I'm doing now. I'm looking for someone.
Person, go on to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com.
Yeah, been on there.
Hire a Pinterest person.
Okay, to set it all up.
Whatever, to do your stuff. We don't, because we think as women, as Black women, I got to learn this.
I don't want to learn that.
To do that for you.
That's true. That's true. I'm always on Fiverr. I have to say I've had hit and miss on there. It's like hard sometimes, but it works and it's affordable. It's kind of like, even if you have a miss, there's a way to get your money back if it doesn't, the job just is like a crash. But I've had mostly hits, I have to say that. But no, that's great advice. I think that's very key. And stop trying to do it all, because my YouTube channel, from a passion side, I like it. I really I love this and I like sharing that, but I've made it simple. Thanks to Stephanie Perry. And she's like, stop trying to be, because in the beginning I was like making all these videos. Here's what I'm doing. I'm in Puerto Vallarta. I'm over here and I'm traveling. And then it's like I sit down for 10 hours and I'm editing. I'm like, this is for a 5-minute video, like ridiculous. I'm like, Michelle, you are not some Hollywood movie producer. Like, stop the nonsense, right?
We think we're supposed to be, because you see the successful YouTubers doing that because they pay people to.
Exactly. I'm not doing that. I was like, they either have the experience. So she's like, just do a live, just do like a recorded, just whatever, it's situational. And then I even started realizing people want information. So that's kind of how I fell into this. I remember people were asking me questions about, even from a Black male perspective. And that's what I started with my husband. I was like, people want to see, like, people were asking me questions like, what is it like for him? And blah, blah, blah. Or my a wife would say, oh, I had my husband sit down and watch your video. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I don't need to do all this fancy schmancy. No, just have a conversation, because people want to know, like, what's happening and wherever.
In a real way, in a real relatable. Like, people that are going to see this video, like, they know. It doesn't get any more real than this. Like,
no, true. So true. So true.
This is what it is. Like, literally, we're here to help you and like, hey.
And then too, just seeing themselves in that situation, seeing themselves through you, you know what I'm saying? Your journey, and you never know, like, what people are going to connect with, what words you said that really resonate. I've even had people say, well, just do a short video. And I'm like, no, I just let people talk. I'm like, if someone doesn't want to watch the whole thing, that's okay. You don't have to, or you want to fast forward or watch it on the weekend, but the ones that want to see it, they're going to stay and they're going to check it out. And I'm cool with that. I don't want to like cut people off and be like, okay, it's time to go, so.
And if it's great information, people will stay.
Absolutely.
We were sitting there talking about, boo boo the fool. Well,
right.
It's my time. But if it's like, and we have given a lot of value.
Yes, absolutely.
So I hope people are watching to the end.
Me too. We're going to say that in the description. Get some gems. Definitely promote what you do, because I think that's so valuable to a lot of folks. Because like I said, I get to that design and presentation phase, and then I'm like, oh, okay, how do I get it out there? I don't even know who to ask to hire. Like, I don't understand it. Then that's the whole thing. And I'm just like, I'm really happy we got to this part of the conversation, because I really would love to talk to you more about it. So let's do it. So we'll see if we can set it up for this Friday. I'm going to check with this girl and see. And if not, for sure, let me just take a look at the clock. The date calendar rather. And it's going to be, it's either the 12th or the 19th. We'll talk more. We'll send each other. But thank you so much, Sheila. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add. I appreciate this like little mini coach segment.
I don't mind. Listen, I'm all about, my thing is, people know me. I want to put people, Black women specifically, on game.
Yeah.
I have invested over $200,000 to
Wow.
know what I know. I
Okay.
have mentors that are literally 9-figure mentors that I can
Wow.
call on the phone. Hey, blah, 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 blah. I
Yeah.
have access to all this stuff and I
Wow.
use it, but it's like, that's cool, but I need y'all. So I put everybody, when I learn something, hey, boo, 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 do this. So I put people on it. That's just what I do.
Yeah.
If you guys want to follow me, I'm a huge Instagrammer now. I do all my life on Instagram. It's like
Okay.
crazy. So I am the Sheila Kay one on Instagram.
Okay.
Follow me on Instagram. I have some trainings on low content books on there for hours. You can just take those trainings and learn stuff. So
Okay.
follow me on Instagram. And I want to start giving out a lot of more educational stuff too going forward.
Okay.
Because again, I need people to know, I want people to be here.
Right.
It is such a life-changing decision. Whether it's Mexico, Colombia, I don't give a damn.
Right.
Just get out.
Exactly.
Go. I don't care. Botswana, Ghana, Africa, I don't care. Doesn't matter.
Just do it. Exactly.
But what I will say is that Mexico is a very soft place to land.
Exactly. And that's what I think too. And it's close. For
Close.
all, because we all
Here.
have family and friends somewhere in the US, and they're not going to come. They're not going to probably be overly
they're not going to
supportive.
come visit you. Don't even expect that. They're not going to come.
Right. They're definitely not going to move here, but you're still close. You know,
close.
if you're worried about anyone in particular, you're close. And I think that's key for people to understand that you're still, you know, close by, and it's okay, you know, and you'll be all right. You'll learn Spanish. You'll learn how to get your groceries and your food and pay your rent.
Last thing I just remembered, I forgot about this. Actually, last October, I did a live class teaching folks how to make their black exit. I totally forgot about this just now. I literally taught for 5 hours straight.
Wow.
Everything that I know about how to make this move successfully. The people that were on that were like, how
blown away. Blown away.
So, and I don't promote it, but I'm actually going to start because people actually need this information. So I'll give Michelle a link.
Okay.
It's called the Blacksit Blueprint. It's literally from.
Love it.
I think I want to go to, because the thing is, you don't know what you don't know. And there are literally 10,000 questions you need to ask. And I say, where to get information? I synthesize all that.
Exactly.
So, and I've helped people that have watched that training move to Mexico. They have moved.
Nice.
I don't hold anything back when I train people. And it's at a very low cost. I don't want to make things crazy expensive. So I have a link. If you guys are thinking about moving abroad, grab the Blacksit bundle and you will have, it's like getting a freaking master's degree in how to do this stuff.
Perfect.
And to make it easy on yourself.
Exactly. So. And I just wanted to add to that, like, you know, I so wholly support, because it's somewhat in line with what I do, you know, which is kind of more one-on-one consultation, but I wholly support like just getting it from wherever, like if she's in Puerto Vallarta or even whatever, if it applied to here or anywhere in Mexico, like just tap in to all of these resources. Once again, sometimes I think it's the getting started. And you have us, like, we're already here, like you said earlier, pioneering this journey, you know, why I'm sitting on these video calls and, you know, getting to know these amazing people like yourself. And, you know, it's just information sharing and not hoarding anything and just like putting it out there on the table and knowing that we're on this side, willing to assist you to get there and how you can see it possible, you know, how you can see it possible. I love it. I love it.
Everything that I wish I would have had.
Yes.
That I didn't.
Absolutely.
And it's from the lens of all the mistakes that I've made.
Absolutely.
So it's everything that I would now do correctly.
Absolutely.
So you get 5 hours of, these are all the correct steps.
Absolutely.
A, B, C, D. All you got to do is follow them.
Yes.
And everything from how do you fund it, healthcare, childcare, how do you stay safe? How do you figure everything you could possibly, I poured in. And I didn't take a break. I took a break for like 20 minutes, like eat a slice of pizza. I get into these zones when I teach, and it's just like, wow. And people were like, and nobody, like everybody was there for the whole time. People were like, how do you? I'm like, I don't know. I just like spirit takes over, and it's just like, okay, this is what they need to know. Blah, 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 blah,
yeah.
so.
No, and I think that your you're a giver in this regard, and
Yep,
it's
very
like
much
it
so.
makes sense. It's clear, and it's like it's your experience,
Yeah.
like it's not like you're just, even if you did just get up and go and you just suddenly had this inspiration, you're like, I know what I'm talking about. Because that's sort of how I've fallen into this. I
Mhm,
realize I've traveled a lot, and like,
mhm.
okay, you do have experience, and how do you make that something? But yeah, you're throwing yourself in there, and it's a passionate giving. It's not just like, oh, okay, I'm just talking about this and whatever. It's like
Yeah,
you're really a part of this, kind of like, I really want you to have success with this,
yeah.
and I feel
I
that way
agree.
too. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm like answering more questions, and people are asking me, but I'm realizing they find that strength in whatever you're putting out there, and we're all connected in the universe. We are all connected in some ways, right? We
Yeah,
didn't just have, this didn't just happen,
exactly.
it didn't, like, I
Exactly.
literally was thinking like the other day, like, oh my God, I haven't really spoken to a lot of folks in PV. I haven't spoken to a
Mhm.
lot of folks in Mexico City. I did not get the same response in Mexico City. I was like, okay, maybe it's not the right
Interesting.
time. Right. I
Okay.
think one person wrote me. I posted the same thing that I posted in the PV page. And I was just
Yeah.
like, hey, I really would like to speak to some folks in Mexico City.
Mhm.
And I know a few that didn't go direct, but I was just like, let's see what kind of, and I was like, maybe it's not the right time. It's time for PV. I had an overwhelming
Okay.
response from PV. And, I think it's a beautiful thing. I interviewed a couple people last week, and it's just, like I said, for me it's amazing because I feel like I know you guys, and I know when I make it back to those places, we'll definitely sit down and have a coffee and or a margarita.
And those of us over in PV, and this is the last thing I'll say, I know we got to go, but
Mhm.
we love each other so much.
Mhm.
And we all understand that being here is just such an amazing thing.
Yeah, it is.
Transformation, it is just wonderful
Mhm.
on like every level possible, right? And so
Absolutely.
we're all here just invested in y'all.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's true.
Come on, come on, come on, please, come
Exactly.
on, come. We'll help you figure it
Exactly.
out. We got you.
Exactly.
Just come, like come.
Exactly. It's a beautiful thing. Like I don't know if you've met Ray and Empress yet.
I have not yet. They're my
No?
girlfriend Araka's really good friend, and I'm supposed to meet them
Okay.
in a couple of weeks. So yeah.
Yeah, I was so blown away by their journey was also extremely interesting. Yours is extremely interesting. Like I just, it's just, I don't know. I just feel proud. Like I feel like a little
Mhm.
mama hen, like, okay, everyone's story, here it
Right?
is,
Bring us
you
all
know?
together.
Yeah, it would just even just to share,
Share the
because I
world, share
think
the
that
info.
we all individually have done our thing, and
Yeah.
we've ended up here. And now we're like kind of connecting in ways where it's like, oh, it's very similar. I see myself, but it's also very interesting. But yeah, so she's a jazz singer and has
Mhm.
been for a really long time. And he was in military. And right now, what I found really interesting about they're doing well, he has a business, but he
He's amazing.
literally, yeah, he's doing like these amazing jungle treks on
Mhm.
horses. And the idea of it is to really have people disconnect
Yes.
in a whole different way and just be in this very peaceful space. Also his spearfishing, I was just like, he was explaining like how he kind of got into this, and that he's offering these, scuba diving. And I was like, I'm afraid to scuba dive. I will ride on a horse, but I'm
Yeah.
not loving it,
Yeah.
but I'll do
Good.
it. But as he was explaining this, and just kind of like his purpose of how he wants to um, basically have people come and connect to these things in Mexico, and how you can start like letting go of some of those burdens and those pressures and that stress. And let's just go out into the jungle on a horse, and let's just listen to the peace and quiet. I just thought, me hearing this from a
Mhm.
Black man and a Black woman was just, it was really amazing for me emotionally, because I thought, I started envisioning as he was talking. I said, I want to come out there and I want to do that. And I've done the horseback ride and I love it. But
Mhm.
the idea of going to do it in the jungle, and he was like talking about jazz and in the jungle, I was like, I want to do
I
that. And
love
she
it.
sang a song. So,
Love it.
and then speaking to you with the coaching, and I'm like, these are things we all need. We
Yeah.
all need these things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
it's okay to have it, you know? So anyway, it's
I
been
love it.
amazing,
It's been
Sheila.
great. Thank you so much for having me on your show. This was awesome.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself. I really
Yeah, no
appreciate it.
worries.
Yeah. So we're going to talk some more. Send me, well, we'll talk offline.
Okay.
Thank you all for being here today and watching another amazing episode with Sheila Kay, everything that she's doing. If it's something that you know, need, please like link to her information. Everything will be in the description box. If there's any questions or comments, you know, reach out to her, reach out to me, whatever you want to do, just
Or ask
connect.
questions below. We'll answer
Yeah,
questions below in the video too. And share this
absolutely.
video. Please share this video with
Please
everybody
share,
that can see
please
the video.
subscribe, please
Subscribe and
share, please
share.
click. I always say it, I forget sometimes, but yeah, this is, you know, a pleasure for me. It takes a lot of time, but I'm really happy to bring all of these amazing guests on and just click on it, share, ask your questions, and continue to support. You know, we're all here to make your journey to Mexico amazing. So thank you all for being here. Thank you so much, Sheila. I appreciate so much of your time.
Thank you so
And
much.
yes, we're going to make a connection somewhere in person in the future.
That works.
All right, I'm going to click this on.